Hello everyone, today we're looking at one of these. This is a Motorola MR501. This one's boxed. This is in fact a StarTAC 70, as it clearly says there, or the equivalent of a StarTAC 70, but this operated obviously on GSM 1800 because this is out of the UK for a service provider called Orange, which obviously no longer exists. They rebranded, well, they merged with T-Mobile and formed EE, or Everything Everywhere. So let's take a look inside and see what you got. When you bought one of these back in the day, you obviously got the original SIM, which is what this looks like, with some pamphlets in there. You got a handy little starter guide, I suppose is what you'd call this, just to tell you a little bit about the phone's functions, really, I guess, and the menu structure. The 501 was obviously the StarTAC 70. The 701, the Motorola MR501, was obviously the equivalent to the StarTAC 85. I do have a 701 somewhere. I just don't have one boxed, ready to show you. I've just got the handset, which I pulled out earlier. This is a 701. I know that the sticker's slightly damaged. It is all original though. You'll notice the keypad is different from the 501. Just to give you an idea, this is a 501. The keypad is different. The 501 obviously had the inferior menu structure, or the way you navigate around the phone. The 701 was more refined because you didn't have the M Plus and the memory recall buttons. Everything was done through the menu. But I'll do another video about the StarTAC 85 or the 701 at a future date when I've dug out all my 701s. In the interim, that's out the door. So what you got when you bought one of these, this is actually a replacement battery, which I got with this. You obviously got the phone, and you got a nice little European travel charger, which basically was this. Now, I say European travel charger because this has got a whole bunch of different connections that you can use this with, because obviously this runs from 100 volts right the way up to 240, so it's good for 110 in America as well as everywhere else. You got the European, obviously the European connector, which slots in there like so, and you got the UK one, which is obviously the nice little 3-pin there. And you did used to also get the American flat pin ones, but it seems to be missing here actually. I'm not too sure why. You got obviously the belt holster. This is obviously has never been used because the sticky tape is still intact, and actually this looks immaculate. It doesn't look scratched at all. What else you got? You obviously got the very original SIM, which by the looks of it, it was this. The other SIM which I got there was obviously a replacement for a later stage because that's a pop out. And you got the original battery, which came in a little protective case, I guess, like this. Switch really doesn't do much. It's just so you know how to differentiate which battery is charged and which one isn't. The original ones were nickel metal hydride. Of course, nowadays everything's lithium ion, and you can still get lithium ion batteries, new ones for StarTACs. I did get offered some about 2-3 weeks ago actually, I should have actually bought some because I've just realized unpacking all these StarTACs that none of my batteries hold any charge any longer. So I'll have to get some, but you got obviously the original battery there. This one's metal hydride, so not really that good for powering on the phone. So the phone itself, this is what you got. It's got the flush white writing, not the nice golden raised lettering. Some of the more expensive Motorola's have got the gold lettering, but also the lettering is raised, so when you run your finger over it, you can actually feel it. The battery obviously, and this one's made in the UK. They did do some which were made in America. This is also a nickel metal hydride battery, so this will probably be the originals that came with it. And obviously the phone. So I'm not expecting the battery to hold any charge, so I do have another one here on charge, which I'll take off charge quickly and power this one on. So hopefully this will stay on, because I know the battery's quite weak. Insert card. Let's try and do that. Let me get rid of all this. I do actually also have another cigarette lighter. This is how they came back in the day. $9.99. What a bargain. You couldn't buy one of these nowadays for $9.99. And this is for the StarTAC, as you can clearly see just there. MO Star. I don't know if you can read that in the camera. Will it show up just? But yeah, this is how it came up. There we go. StarTAC at the top, the sticker. Save a charger, this is. And it's got a date of 17/08/1999. Imagine that. So this has been in its original case since then. I know it's obviously been sat on, but all original, never been used. But anyway, so let's fire this baby up. I half expect this to be locked to orange, so I'm going to stick a T-Mobile SIM card in there, as it clearly says there. Well, let's zoom. There we go. Just to test to see if it's asking for a special code. It is. There we go. So yeah, so this one will need unlocking. Let's quickly do that. As a matter of fact, before we do that, I don't actually know what the lock code for this is, or the security code. So before I unlock it, I'm going to put this sucker in, and that will tell me what the lock code and security code is. So all you need to do when it's finished searching, which it obviously ain't going to pick up a service because that SIM card is a test SIM card, press and hold the pound key or the hash key. That gets you into test mode. You can actually do this by flashing the battery as well. You don't just need to press the pound key, but I think it's 5/8 pound, so that tells you the security is all zeros, and 5/9. The lock code is 1234. Oh, okay. So this has obviously been reset at some point. So we're good to go. Slap this guy out, and then what we'll do, I'll tell you what, we'll try it with a different SIM as well, just to prove that it is actually locked. This is, I know it says Vodafone. This is actually a Cellnet or an O2 SIM card. The adapter is Vodafone. The card is Cellnet. So again, it's asking for a special code. I'm going to keep this card in full view just here. Oh, incidentally, this is a StarTAC with the auxiliary battery. Some of y'all might not know this, but they did an auxiliary battery. This is what it looks like. If you obviously your battery up here didn't last long enough, you could buy one of these, clip it on here, and if you ever wondered what these contacts were for, that's what it's for. The contacts obviously provide the extra juice. So I'll fire this up in a sec. But in the interim, I'll pop this guy in. This is an unlock SIM or a little unlock tool. That gets us into test mode. So all we got to do is 0.6 pound and 0.3 pound, and that's done. Power the phone off. Slot this guy back out. Use this SIM, which has been in full view. Pop this guy in, and it won't pick up service because the SIM is not a GSM 1800 SIM provider, but it won't ask for the enter special code, and that's the main thing. I will try it with this as well, and it will pick up service with this card. So as you can see, it's searching. Probably ain't going to pick up service because, there we go, because the SIM is from a provider that operates on GSM 900. This is a GSM 1800 phone. Be aware though that if you do buy a StarTAC, which does take a large SIM card and it does have an orange logo, it's not necessarily a GSM 1800 phone. Orange is a brand for cellular networks that's been used in various countries, more so nowadays than when, back in the 90s. But the Orange brand was used in places like Palestine or Israel and they definitely did have a GSM 900 orange network. I know that because I roamed on that, and I was surprised. So the Palestinian or Israeli orange phones are GSM 900, and they are also locked to orange in Israel or Palestine. So they'll need unlocking just like we've just done now. So let's put the T-Mobile card in. We've just put the T-Mobile card back in, I think. Was that the T-Mobile card? Yes, it was. So with a bit of luck, this will actually now pick up service. It won't ask for an enter special code. There we go, T-Mobile. No sweat. I know it's powered off, but that's just because the battery's weak. You got to take my word for it. Let's see if we can actually use the auxiliary battery to keep this bad boy on. With a bit of luck, I can try and fit this. Oh, actually, that's interesting. There we go. Charging main battery. So it's picked up the fact that it's got an auxiliary battery as well. It charges the main battery, which is this, before it charges the auxiliary battery. Important to note. So if you got a DUF main battery, it'll forever try and charge that and not charge the auxiliary. Because I did that. Did that about a week ago, and I was wondering why the hell the auxiliary battery wasn't charged. I found that this phone's got an OK battery, a main battery, and it was charging the auxiliary battery. I'll fire this one up in a sec. So just to prove that it does pick up T-Mobile, I know even though it says welcome to Orange, it should actually stay on because obviously oh, maybe not then. The battery's obviously weak. It does work. It is unlocked. So right, that's that one done. So we know the lock code and security code. That's all good. Let me quickly put this to one side and fire this bad boy up. Now this unfortunately can't be used anymore because this particular StarTAC is not for GSM. You'll notice that there's no large credit card size slot in there. So unlike this StarTAC here, I should really have shown you that without the auxiliary on there. There you go. Basically, when Motorola first made the StarTACs, they were obviously all analog. They operated on amps or CDMA or TDMA, depending which variant you bought. Certainly, I think the CDMAs, you can still use them if you find yourself with a cellular provider that will connect your StarTAC to a prepaid service. I'm pretty sure they won't let you connect it up to a contract in America for one reason or another. I'm not sure the technicalities, but anyway. So when they first did the StarTACs, you'll see that obviously this is flush. These two bits are flush. The top and the bottom are flush. When they obviously decided to go GSM, they had to widen the bottom of the StarTAC where the credit card fits in. So you can see on here that actually the top and bottom aren't flush. They've had to broaden that a bit just to make the SIM card fit. Of course, with the later ones, the 130s, the StarTAC 130s, where you got a little drawer that pulls out and you stick the little micro SIM in there. They've shrunk the size again. I do also have one of them somewhere, and I think it featured in the other video. So check that out. But this particular StarTAC, I'm going to stick the auxiliary battery back on. Is an old school analog. I think this is a Cellular One analog. I think this operated on amps. It could have been CDMA, I'm not too sure. But this is one I picked up out in the States. It's got that lovely orange dot matrix LED display. Will this zoom? I'm not even sure if this will zoom. Will it zoom? There we go. So yeah, it obviously ain't pick up service. It's got the 5 LEDs for the service. So basically it's got your battery meter and your service meter. At the moment it's flashing no service, obviously, because there's no service, but the 5 LED meter is identical to the meter in the MicroTAC Elite or Lite phone. Basically it flashed up how many LEDs were obviously a signal strength. So you got a couple of the usual functions, so function shortcuts. So F8 would be obviously vibrate, F5 would be lock, battery meter. Let's try and do that function. So it's saying charging charging main battery. What if I pull that out and do function 4? So it's telling you the battery level, basically. So let's keep that on charge. Obviously function 6 would be mute, function 5 would be lock. I ain't going to do that because I don't know what the code to this is. And that was pretty much it. You got obviously your recall buttons, which you use to recall names and numbers. So I'm guessing if there's anything stored in number 1, location 1, that number, I guess. So Cleam, I'm not too sure who that is, but obviously the previous owner to this. And that's that really. You can't really place calls on these anymore. So you get the nice call cannot be completed as dialed alert. I don't recommend obviously you dial 999 or 911 or any permutation of emergency calls, because obviously if it's not an emergency, don't dial a number. But I know that there's no service here, so it's never going to go through. That's pretty much all I have to say about StarTACs as a whole. Certainly if you're into your StarTACs, then a 501, they are still quite common in the UK. You can pick these up. This one I picked up boxed for about $12, believe it or not. I was quite lucky, and I must have at least 4 or 5 of the 501s, and I got a pair of 701s as well. So the StarTAC 70 and the StarTAC 85. I got I think a couple of StarTAC 130s as well, which are the ones with the little drawer thing, I think. So real neat phones if you can still get them. Certainly the StarTAC Rainbows are probably the most expensive ones, although I do have a couple of different colored ones. I got the StarTAC Royale, which I think I got like 2 or 3 of them actually, which is like the dark blue, and then I got a purple one, I got a chrome one, and I got a red one as well somewhere. I ain't dug that out yet, but worth considering it anyway if you're so inclined to use this old technology. Certainly these were the baddest phones in the land when they first launched these. People queuing up to buy these, so worth noting anyway if you want to get one. If you see a StarTAC and all you got is one picture like this, if the StarTAC keypad, as a general rule, obviously there will be exceptions to it, but looking at a StarTAC, as a general rule of thumb, if it's got the dot matrix display, I don't think it's GSM. I've never seen a GSM StarTAC which takes a SIM card with an LED dot matrix display. That's not to say there isn't any out there. I certainly haven't seen any. Certainly in my time of collecting in about 20 years, I've never come across one. So if you found a photo of a StarTAC and it's got the LED single line or dual line, chances are it's probably not GSM. You can obviously tell if it takes the SIM card, the large credit card SIM cards, by checking that this is a little bit wider, like I pointed out earlier. Another way to tell is obviously most of the GSM StarTACs, including the 7000G and the 8000G, which operate on GSM 1900, have the clear and OK buttons at the top. As a general rule of thumb, for analog StarTACs, you got the red and green buttons or send and end buttons at the bottom somewhere. There is 1 or 2 exceptions, but as a general rule of thumb, if they have the keys at the top, they are GSM. I think the StarTAC 85 does actually have the keys at the bottom, but it does take a SIM, so that's probably the exception. But as a general rule of thumb, if you're looking for a StarTAC you can still use with a SIM, try and go for the ones with the OK and the clear button at the top, because you got more chance of them being GSM and that you can still use. Obviously, you can still get CDMA StarTACs, and you can still get service on CDMA in parts of America, in the Americas. So they're still good as well. And you can pick up an old Cellular One or Verizon or AT&T StarTAC for probably about $20–30 on CDMA. People are throwing them out like rice, like they're nothing. So you can get some real good bargains. Of course, you can still get new lithium-ion batteries for StarTACs. I need to order some. Actually, I did come across a guy that they had some about 3 weeks ago. Stupidly, I didn't order any. I will get around to ordering some, and I'll do an update video on these StarTACs. Certainly have a few fired up and lined up or powered on. It'd be nice just to show you the different kinds of displays that you do get. So thanks for watching. Give me a thumbs up if you like the phone or the video, and check out some of the other videos on here, and thanks for watching.